Hey, hey, Rebel Moon 2 is here. Wow, everyone was really waiting for this one. Oh boy. Now, I've heard many people saying that Part 2, the Scargiver, is worse than Part 1, but maybe I was just tired a few months ago, or the less likely case where I became more invested in these lifeless characters, but I found the second film to be at least more entertaining than the first, which is not saying much. Although upon watching this one, I am more confused as to how Zack Snyder and his team thought splitting this project into 2 films was a good idea, because the end result is a boring, vapid first film with no concrete resolution, no payoffs to character arcs, and even more surprising for a Zack Snyder film, very few dramatic action scenes. And then you have this second film, which feels like a long, drawn-out third act stretched across the runtime of a full movie, with these pointless and tedious dialogue scenes interlaced with equally flat action set pieces. Oh, and I can't forget to mention the setup for the third installment, which, just like Shyamalan's Last Airbender sequel, is definitely going to happen, guys.
If you do choose to fight, I will stand with you.
Gee, thanks.
If I had to think of any way to improve this mess of a duology, about 3 things come to mind. First off, Rebel Moon's story of the lone warrior setting out to the wilderness to find more lone warriors in order to defend her village from an imposing threat. This whole story would work a lot better in a time where people fought with fists and with spears and not with planet-eliminating super cannons. It's also so ridiculous to me that an intergalactic empire with this kind of weaponry even bothers with minuscule things such as stealing wheat from a village of like 20 people. In a medieval setting, the intergalactic empire could be replaced with the army of some kind of ancient force such as the Aztecs or Romans. Even better, the enemy could be based on real nomadic empires, many of which were known for their ruthless plundering of small villages. Next, the long, drawn-out scenes with boring dialogue, where usually it's like one character that delivers 90% of the lines here. These sequences are so incredibly pointless, and the scene with the girl handing out her handmade cloths to each of the fighters was the most hilariously drawn-out scene I have seen in a long time. I was legitimately laughing at how long this scene went on. This is why I think that Rebel Moon would have been much better off as a single film with a lot of these long scenes just cut out entirely. It would be much less of a waste of your time. And my final note would be to make the villain more interesting, because this guy is just terrible. He is even worse than Kylo Ren. He is the most one-sided, one-dimensional evil villain I have seen in basically any film. And he's just really boring to watch because of that. Not to mention the terrible acting. But I think that the best way to transform this villain would either be to make him into some kind of anti-theme to the protagonist, or have his story reflect that of the protagonist to showcase the 2 different paths that one can take when offered power. Though even with these changes, it wouldn't really save the series, it would just be somewhat less bad than it currently is. And that's really all I could think of right now. Until next time, bye.
She's unfelt. Who? She's unfelt. Circles fulfilled. Who? The Scargiver.